Hey, everybody, I am Kevin Iole. Welcome to Yahoo Sports on Saturday in Jacksonville, UFC 273. A loaded card, a lot of tremendous fights on that card, and the champion in the main event is my guest right now, the featherweight champ of the world, moving way up in the rankings, Alexander the Great Volkanovski. Volko, how are you, my friend?
I am very, very good, mate. How are you?
I'm awesome. There's something happening on this card that I don't think ever happened in UFC history. It involves your fight. The main event has the widest odds of any fight on the card, and never in the UFC does the main event have the widest. In fact, the last three fights are the three biggest favorites on the card. So that's pretty amazing. You are minus 750 to win over Chan Sung Jung, the Korean zombie. Does that surprise you how big of a favorite they made you in this fight?
Um, Look, man, it doesn't surprise me because you know what I mean. But at the same time, I don't think that's disrespect to Zombie. You know what I mean? Obviously, some might be like, oh, that's disrespect. But I mean, people might be looking at it stylistically and, and where I'm at. You know what I mean? I think people can see improvements in me every time I step in there. And I think I guess that last one too, right? They're like thinking, oh, this guy can't be beaten. No matter what position he's in, he gets out. You know what I mean? So that probably made people think that I'm even more. I've always been a safe bet. I've always said that. Safe bet. That's why I've always been people that were heavily into betting. They've always loved me. They've always appreciated me, especially when I'm an underdog, which isn't much lately. But even as a favorite, they still love me. But after seeing that, they probably don't love it as much anymore because I'm too much of a favorite.
Well, yeah, no,
but
I think the thing now is we're going to have to bet. If we're going to bet on you in this fight, you're going to have to bet on a finish because you haven't had a lot of finishes recently. And so the number's going to be a little better there.
Yeah, mate, look at us. We're talking gambling now, are we? But yeah, man, it's man, look, again, I'm a safe bet. And where I'm at right now, I think the finish could be definitely a good bet as well. You know what I mean? I think the value is there. I mean, obviously Zombie is tough, but at the same time, where I'm at right now.
You are obviously a great athlete, right? Everything that you've done, 23-1 in MMA, 120 in a row. I mean, I don't know that people understand how difficult it is to reel off 20 consecutive wins in MMA. And you're getting to that point where you beat this guy, and all of a sudden you're going to say, well, what else do? You have to go to a different division because you're almost at that point now where, there's not much higher you can go at featherweight. You've beaten Max Holloway twice, Jose Aldo. Obviously you got out of that choke you alluded to against Brian Ortega the last time out. That was, I don't know how you did it, but it was pretty amazing. I mean, have you given thought to maybe pursuing a second title?
It's definitely obviously a question that's, people ask me a lot. And it's something that I definitely look into, but it's not something that I'm thinking I'm going to do next fight or anything. I'm planning on staying busy this year, but I don't know if lightweight is in the picture this year. And if it is, it's right at the end because I want 3 fights this year. So, you go out, you do your work, what I plan on doing. Again, I'm not looking past Zombie, but at the same time I am because I'm confident in myself. So, you know what I mean? I want a few big wins this year. And look, if later the year that lightweight fight happens, but if not, next year sometime, I definitely want to do something like that. It just depends on the division as well. You know what I mean? If I had a couple of fights and then the division was sort of stale like it has been with, contenders sort of trying to find out where their position is. Some people fighting for that number 1 spot gives me time to be like, all right, let's go do this double champ status. Right now, I want to build my legacy. I want to build myself in this featherweight division. Obviously I've definitely done that in the last couple, but I think a couple more would definitely put me in a really good position to start, going the double champ status and then really big fights and all that type of stuff. So, but right now, again, I've got a division that I want to pay attention to and hold. Just depends how active my division is. I want to be active, but is my division going to be active enough for me to wait around for him? I don't know, because if that's the case, maybe I move up earlier than expected because these guys are sitting there waiting for opportunities that might not come their way.
You know, the UFC is filled with obviously great athletes, but a lot of nice guys. And you were at the top of that list. Max Holloway, your rivals at the top of that list. Another great guy. I was a little surprised at the harsh words you seem to have for Max. I mean, you shared 10 rounds in the cage, and when he pulled out with an injury, it almost seemed like you thought he was ducking you or trying to get out of the fight somehow.
But yeah, that was look. That was more like it was. I've even talked about this. Obviously, I was frustrated, being frustrated because I wanted that fight, right? But this is something I've actually been a little vocal about, where I talked about, you had the haters, and listening to the haters, and then having something to prove to the haters. So there was something. I felt like that was more to have a dig at the haters, right? Because again, I was in a position where, like literally, that's the reason why I made that decision. Like I'll be honest, that's why I even made a comment saying, it was pretty silly for me to just say that, because I don't know the situation. You know what I mean?
Right.
It could be injuries. I don't even know if the UFC were properly talking to him. I don't know if they were going through negotiations. There's so many things that can come into play. You don't know the full story, right? He might be playing games, and it might be strategy on his half, and all that type of stuff. But again, it was more frustration because I wanted to get in there and I wanted to fight him to shut up the haters, and then the haters are saying stuff. I wanted to have a go at them and being like, oh, you know what I mean? So this is sort of where I was at. I've been actual vocal about this and telling people that, where my head was at, that was just I was making a lot of decisions. I was overthinking so many things because I was just in the wrong headspace, and I've completely changed that. And trust me, it's been the freedom I have right now has been pretty incredible. You know what I mean? So look, me and him are always going to, I guess, I'm always going to be a bit, maybe a little bit funny with him because, again, I still think like, we both, everyone's going to have their games, right? They're going to play their games.
You won both. He thought he won both, right? So now you're,
well, like, you know what I mean? So yeah, there's always going to be that right, which is probably a good thing as well. But I mean, me saying things just purely to get back at haters is pretty silly, especially being a champion, worrying about what haters are thinking. You know what I mean? Like where you know what I mean? And I'll be honest, that's why I'm comfortable to talk about it. And again, that's where I was sort of at, and that goes deeper. Like that's not just with that. Like that was with, even me just being a champion, me going back home and being just, I always talk about me just being daddy and regular bloke.
Right.
Guy I was 10 years ago, and you know what I mean. It's weird. That would really be like, I'll forget about the champion thing. I'd forget about this life I live outside of being a dad and like being the same guy I was. So it's weird. So it's very hard to explain, but at the same time, I'm just so comfortable with who I am and what I'm all about right now, the freedom I have. And again, I don't need to say things to get at haters because I'm right now, I'm not really paying attention to them. So which has been definitely a game changer for me.
I wonder, you referenced, being at home and you're just dad, but when you're out, like what impact does your fame now have on your family? Like, you're in the park or you're at the store or you're at a restaurant, whatever you're doing in public and you're with your family and people see you like, hey, there's the champ. And, of course they want to get a picture and they want to get an autograph with you from you. What is the impact of that like on your family, and do your kids kind of like, are they shocked to see what, how people react to dad?
Oh, they're getting used to that. It's pretty good because I'm a pretty chill, friendly guy. So everyone knows that I'm always out and about anyway. So obviously you get a lot of people, but I mean, when you're minding your own business and you're with your family, a lot of people are pretty respectful in that as well. But I'm always going to have time for the fans anyway. But I mean, my kids are definitely getting used to it. You know what I mean? And it's yeah. At the same time, you still sort of got a bit of appreciation for it as well. But it's weird because I've always, again, I go home and I'm daddy and I talk about being just a regular bloke. Sometimes I forget it. I walk the streets and people be like, "Oh, hey, how are you?" And I assume I know them from school or something, not the fact that they know me because I'm the champ. You know what I mean? Like it's weird. So it's cool. It keeps you grounded, but at the same time, there's a time and place for that as well. So right now, I'm over here in Jacksonville. I've got my belt. I'm over here. I'm not daddy, here in Jacksonville.
Fight mode.
I'm the UFC champ. You know what I mean? You're talking to UFC champ. So that's sometimes you need to remember that, because again, a lot of times I would be the same guy I was 10 years ago, trying to play this role of a champion, you know what I mean? And be like, oh, what should I say? Oh, what are these, what do the haters want me to say? You know what I mean? Like shit like that.
Right.
We're now just like, no, you're the champ. You say whatever you want. Excuse my language.
No, hey, I got you. Hey, talking about the fight, you look at it. Do you think the biggest threat you face is the fact that, maybe zombie strikes come from angles that like not a lot of other people do, and so when you're not used to fighting him, you haven't been in there, you're seeing punches and kicks from different angles than maybe other people. Is that the biggest threat, do you think, that he presents?
I don't think it's that. I think he definitely looks for the counters, and he's got a variety in his counters as well. But I mean, at the same time, yeah, I train with guys that are probably a lot more unpredictable than him anyway. I train with a lot of different guys, you know what I mean? So I'm used to the unpredictable type of fighters anyway. I don't think he's unpredictable, Zombie, to be honest. You might be right, but I mean, I've probably worked with guys that were a lot more unorthodox than him. I mean, I feel like he's a pretty tidy guy. He looks for his counters, but at the same time, I just, I don't think I'm gonna be there for him. You know what I mean? I think, my angles and my movement, and I think I'm going to shut him down, and I think he's going to make some decisions, and I'm going to make him pay for him. Again, I've got respect for him. I do have respect for him, but I mean, again, his style, I think he's going to change his style. I think you're going to see a different Zombie coming in early. He's going to have strategy because he knows that stylistically, the way he's always fought probably wouldn't be the way to go for me. I think he's going to change that up, but I mean, you're going to quickly see him go back to the old Zombie once I, make him fight my fight. It's going to be very hard for him to have a strategy while I'm keeping him so busy with what I'm doing.
When you're in practice, do you practice like specifically for your opponent, or do you just go through and just, hey, I'm going to get myself ready to fight, and, I'll make them adjust to me?
Look, man, we don't go too heavy into what they do. Obviously, you're going to have strategy. Depends on the opponent. Luckily, my style that I have covers a lot of ground. It covers a lot of areas. It nullifies a lot just purely with my style. As I said, it covers a lot of ground. And so that's something that I can focus on. There are definitely things that we, that we see that we can definitely capitalize on and we need to be careful of. But at the same time, I think I can have, purely because of my style and what I do with my style, I think that gives me a little bit more freedom in there, which is why I feel so confident in the finish, in the fact that I can get this finish, because the freedom I'm going to have in there. Where, again, I don't need to be so strategy heavy, which is obviously good to have to nullify people and things like that. But with a Zombie, you definitely need to be careful. Like, obviously I need to nullify things, but my style, there's certain things that will cover that. I won't get into too much detail. There's certain things that will cover that, rather than certain things that I need to change up so much to nullify someone that's going to keep me out of position for things I like to do.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So it's again, without getting too technical and getting too much into it and giving away too much as well. You know what I mean? I think the freedom I'm going to have, being able to fight my fight, is definitely going to be what makes this fun, purely because I feel like there's going to be openings, and I feel like I'm going to bring out the old Zombie that everyone loves as well. So, which is good. It's dangerous.
To make it fun.
But it's fun for the crowd. So it's going to be a crowd pleaser, this one, for sure.
I'm going to wrap on this, Alex. And I'm going to go back to that choke that Ortega had you in the latter part of the fight. You're a confident guy. You've ever since I think I started covering your fights in 2016, if I'm not mistaken. So you've been around a long time. Ever since I've known you, you've been very confident that you're going to win. But surviving that against a guy that has such great jiu-jitsu, and it was in tight, and people look at the replay of that, and you're gurgling and whatnot. Does that even make it more like, are you even more confident now because you've been through something like that where, your title was basically slipping away and they were getting ready to put Ortega's name on there, and you still managed to win? Did that do anything for you, and will that help you going forward, knowing that you have that ability?
Yeah, it does. It does give you a lot more confidence, but that, even in the training room straight after, you know what I mean? Where, I've never been a type to panic, you know what I mean? Like, training with guys that I train with, you know what I mean? you know, I've been in bad positions plenty of times, but I mean, they get you sort of comfortable in their position. Not comfortable, but I mean, you know, they teach you not to panic in these situations. I'm a pretty durable guy. I've got a lot of heart, and I'm going to keep fighting till the end. But not panicking definitely can save you some seconds as well. And having that was a really real indicator. I was like, that's how deep it was, but purely because I didn't panic and things like that. It made me really be confident in what I sort of already knew. You know, what I would have told myself, but now I know there's proof, right? There's living proof. You can rewatch that tape.
You get closer than that.
Not even just see it. I felt it. It doesn't get any deeper than that. And me being, you know, doing what, you know, things that we worked on and not panicking and making that enough space. You know what I mean? That really helped me even in the gym. So now being in them positions, you know, I'm cruising. You know what I mean? Like, it's very hard to submit me with chokes. Like, it always was hard. Always was very hard. But now it's just even harder. Where I always feel like, right, their arms are going to always gas out before I go out. So, which has been pretty successful after that one. But again, you know, you still got that puncher's chance. You always got to give your opponent that puncher's chance. You know what I mean? And Zombie obviously knows how to find the chin. So again, I'm going to give him respect, but this is usually a pretty hard chin to find. And if you find it, I usually make it hard for you to land a flush. You know what I mean? To put me out. I'm usually either going with it, you know what I mean? Or I'm just out of range, or, you know, I'm catching it right at the end of it. So, and if I do run straight into it and it catches me flush, I usually take it pretty good too.
Hey, look, he's not only 23-1 in MMA. He's also an undefeated pro boxer. So he knows how to do it.
Right. Yeah. 1-0, baby. 1-0.
Alexander Volkanovski, UFC 273 on Saturday in Jacksonville. He's fighting the Korean Zombie, Chan Sung Jung. Volko, thank you very much. Good luck to you, my friend.
Thank you. I appreciate it.